Hey, I'm Sierra Harrop here in the Pilot Lounge, and we have a guest today that has just gotten a job that is absolutely perfect for him. Eric Crump's joining us on the line. He's the incoming Executive Director of the Aerospace Center for Excellence at Sun and Fun, and we'll touch on why you're a great fit for that in just a minute, Eric. But first, welcome to the Pilot Lounge.
No, thanks for having me. I wish I was actually in the pilot lounge, but the chair is comfortable that I'm sitting in, so it's good. I'll just pretend.
Right on, right on. Well, so for those of us that don't know, what is exactly the Aerospace Center for Excellence?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are probably familiar with the fly-in that happens in Lakeland, Florida in the springtime called
May have
Sun and
heard of
Fun.
it, yeah.
You maybe heard of it once or twice. And so people might not realize that that event is actually just a gigantic fundraiser for the Aerospace Center for Excellence. And so Aerospace Center for Excellence was chartered about 7 years ago, and the point was to really double down on how we make the door wider and increase opportunities for people to come into aviation, all fields within aviation. The mission is to engage, educate, and accelerate the next generation of aerospace professionals,
And
which, as you well know, is a mission very near and dear to my heart.
absolutely, yeah. You know, when I got the press release that you were taking the helm there, I thought, well, hey, they've got the perfect guy. For the last, what is it, 10 years or so, you've been heading up the efforts of the aviation and aerospace program at Polk State College. Tell me about that background and how that's really a good prerequisite for taking the reins here at ACE.
Yeah, so when we started the aerospace program at Polk State in 2013, 9 people showed up the first semester, and I was just thrilled that anybody showed up. You know, we had these grand plans about what it was going to be, and then you just never know, is anybody actually going to show up the first day? And now the program is almost 300 people in 4 different degree programs. There are 106 of them doing flight training right now. And watching that program grow, the thing that became apparent from the very first day is that there are tons of people who would love to get into the aviation aerospace field, who are actually completely competent and capable of doing it, who just don't see it as an opportunity for them. And so our mission was to, again, make the door as wide as possible and to go out and ask, how can we serve you? How can we get you into aviation and aerospace? And so Sun and Fun at the time, when the program first started, and then ACE later when it came onto the scene, has been a perfect partner in our efforts, because ACE tends to focus on the K-12 audience. Lights Leanhouse, the former CEO, used to talk about cradle to cockpit, and getting people ready for that. And so the college program was the end of that journey. And so having worked in that and seen the students come through the educational programs at ACE over the years, now I get to go back and actually work on those programs to get them college ready to send them forward. So it's just maybe somewhat of a role reversal. I feel like I've really been working with Sun and Fun and ACE for pretty much the entire time I've been at Polk State. So,
well, that's good, and you have all those relationships there, and I think what is going to serve you well is people like you, man. You connect with young people in a way that I think a lot of educators and certainly people that walk that line between educator and administrator would love to. And you inspire people. If I could laud that at you, what's the secret there? What's the secret to connecting with younger people and getting them to engage with these big ideas and see the world beyond their front door and what may be available down the road?
So first of all, thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. The secret is that I was one of those kids. Nobody in my family had ever been to college. Nobody in my family was a pilot, but I loved airplanes. I went to the airport and just asked, like, how do I do this? What do I do? Where do I sign up? And there were a group of pilots at my local airport that mentored me, that answered all of my questions. There were tons of them. And that made such an impression upon me. Like, I am where I am today because of the people that mentored me to get me here. So I've always thought that it was my responsibility to do that for other people. And so that's I don't know if it's a secret, but it's just that I feel responsible to give that back, because what those people gave to me along the way, all through my journey and throughout my flying career, prepared me for what I'm doing today. So not so much a secret, just a life mission, a purpose.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And when I was down there at Sun and Fun, I connected with some of the kids from the Lakeland Aero Club. They're doing some really great things. They rebuilt an aircraft engine over the course of the week of Sun and Fun, and it ran. And every time I meet these young aviators that are coming up into the industry, I'm just really encouraged about the future. What do you see the future of aviation and aerospace looking like, and what are the opportunities that exist that maybe aren't a pilot track? What are the other tracks, and what does that future look like for these young people?
Sure. The future for aviation aerospace is incredibly bright. I think being in the middle of the generation gap between the seasoned person and the super young person, I'm somewhere in the middle at this point. I see so many great and inspiring things from this new generation. They're the most intelligent generation of kids we've ever churned out. But like any kid, they need direction. They need direction, and they need mentorship, and they need support. And that support will look different than it did for Gen X kids and Gen Y kids. It's just a different group of people. And, as long as there are still people in industry and in education and just hobby, just people who are excited to give that back, I think we've got a great future ahead of us. These kids are sharp as a whip. They're smarter than I ever was when I was that age. I can tell you that.
Agree.
I wouldn't even know where to start today if you put me in a shop with a bunch of parts and build this engine in a week and make it run. I went by and saw the work they were doing and actually filmed some of it with my phone so that I could use it in a classroom to illustrate some of the internal engine concepts that typically, confuse pilots. So I think it's such an awesome opportunity for us to share information and work together. But
absolutely,
the future's bright, and it is. It's so much bigger than just pilot. I tell people all the time, for every 2 people in the front of the airline, it takes 100 people to get them there. That, there's so many other jobs in aviation. If you like marketing but you like airplanes, there's a job for you. If you like money and finance and accounting but you like airplanes, there's a job for you. Fixing airplanes, dispatching airplanes, air traffic control. This new movement, this thing that's coming out in eVTOL. There's so many things. It's just a matter of getting involved and asking the right questions.
If folks want to find out more about the programs that are going on down there centered around ACE, how do they find out more?
It's simple. Just come to aceedu.org. That's the website. There's a list there of all the events that go on throughout the year. And, of course, come back and hang out with us next spring for the Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo.
Absolutely. And, we saw that shift there about 10 years ago. It went from being spring break for pilots to, hey, this is a focus on STEM. This is a focus on putting money into the next generation and building these programs to help young people come into this industry. And I think this next step in you being a leader there and shifting from the collegiate space to the the K-12 space is a good thing for that. What do you hope the future holds for that whole complex of getting folks from a young age interested and educated and into and employed in aviation? What's next?
I just said eVTOL. I think eVTOL is next. eVTOL is the perfect bridge between the kids who like computer science and computer programming, but also are into aviation. eVTOL, eventually some kind of augmented crew situation. The continued marriage of technology and aviation, I think, is going to create a whole subset within our industry for people who aren't really coming to aviation for an aviation job, but they're coming to aviation because they can use skills they have in aviation. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think there's opportunities for everybody there. But I think what we have the ability to do if we do it the right way is to be more inclusive and more welcoming and more accepting, and again to get more people in. When I was younger, and maybe you too, aviation was an exclusive club. Like you had to, you were cool if you became a pilot, but only certain people got to do that. And I feel like over just in my lifetime, I've watched that shift start to happen, and there's more work that needs to be done there, where aviation becomes just an open, very wide front door that brings in everybody, because we're going to need them. We need them now. Just on the flight side and the maintenance side, just look at the news. Get on any board anywhere, whether it's social or traditional media. Everybody needs pilots and mechanics. And that's not going to change within the next, before my kids are in the field. It's not going to change anytime soon. If anything, we just need exponentially more.
Well, and I hope that we always maintain the idea that you're cool if you become a pilot. Eric Crump, incoming Executive Director of the Aerospace Center for Excellence. It's Sun and Fun. Congrats on the new gig, my friend, and thanks for chatting with us here in the Pilot Lounge.
Always. Thanks for having me.